Now, there are some other criteria that they are just for us as instructors to make sure that we are always like on the top of the material that we present. So the other criteria is credibility. So when you're providing that information, especially, for example, external information like YouTube links, are they believable and are they credible? So, for example, here I use textbook, I use the Quality Institute or American Quality Institute website, which is a standard in the field, and then you're sure that the material are high quality. Clarity is another criteria. So by clarity, it means that are the content good enough or proper for the student audience that you have. So for example, in this case, my audience are undergraduate students with very few backgrounds in statistical analysis. And then before going into that later statistical analysis for quality purposes, I need to build that ground. So what kind of purpose I'm having in this course? Like what are the real word applications? So clarity of the instruction material is always another criteria you want to look at. Validity is important. So by answering this question, you can always check for the validity. So are the information that you provide, are they acceptable in the given community of practice? So I usually put one or two real case studies from different websites or from different sources, from different papers or researches to show that what we are learning here, even though it is at a lower division level, it is still very applied and it is still very important for you to know how to do that if you want to get a job in this field later. So that would be a kind of evidence for the validity of the instructional material. The other one is the reliability. You want to make sure that the sources that you use, they are reliable and there is no link rot. So especially when you create a link to a website or to a video, you want to make sure that they still work. So for example, that's why when I'm going to post something from YouTube, I usually find it from that source website like the association of this or the quality association. So I know that the link will be there because it is part of their history or part of their lesson plan. So that way it will work for at least the duration of the semester. The accuracy of the instructional material is also another thing. Are there any errors? Are there any omissions? Sometimes I make, for example, the lecture notes a bit shorter, and the reason is the time of the class, or I don't want to get the students like very bored by giving too much detail. But still, I provide that in like an extra set of slides, or when I'm recording the video, I include that information at the end of the video and then sending a note to a student. I usually tell them that, well, the first, for example, 45 minutes is the lecture that we covered in the class, and then the last 20 minutes is extra material. If you want more information, just go ahead and look at that. So that would be another way to check the accuracy. And of course, currency is also important. You want to make sure that the material that you post are updated. And sometimes it makes a lot of sense for some courses to keep updating the instructional material. And sometimes it's just a fundamental topic. They stay the same. So again, this one really depends on the field or on the topic that we are presenting. And the other one is quality. So are you presenting this material in a sound manner pedagogically? So what happens is that you want to have a logical rate of presentation. The slide should be clear. The PDF should be accessible, searchable. If you use color codes, make sure that those colors are meeting the standards. For example, some students may have difficulty recognizing some colors. If colors have some special meaning in your slides, then or in your lecture notes, then you want to have a legend explaining that. For example, bold is important if you use like different colors. What is the meaning of them? So this is all a kind of effort that we put in to make sure that the instruction material that we provide are of high quality and accessible to students. The other part that we want to address is the breadth and variety of the materials. So I've put in the questions from Quality Matters here. So are they coming from multiple sources? And again, I think we discussed this last week that students have different type of learning style. So by creating a variety of lecture notes or a variety of instructional materials, you are trying to keep their engagement high and you are trying to address the needs of more diverse audience that we have in the class. Some students learn better by watching a video, some students are good listeners, and some prefer reading. So by giving all those variety, then we are meeting this standard for instruction material. The last two criteria is accessibility and the type of material that we post. So by accessibility, again, it means, for example, if you have videos, are they captioned? I always record my videos using Zoom, and then there's automatic captioning. But sometimes there is a difference between like what I said and what was transcribed, maybe for whatever reason. So I usually go back to that caption and then look at it and correct if there is anything. So you have the option to edit the words. And if that is one way, sometimes if I don't have a recorded video of the lecture, I just have a recorded PowerPoint. So I talk over the PowerPoint, and then that would be a shorter kind of a presentation, but still they are accessible because my point is that, okay, I want to explain what this slide says, so I provide more information on that. If it is PDF, it is a great idea that you use different options in Adobe and then try to create some interactive PDF or some PDFs that are more updated, not the one that we scan, because those scanned PDF are not usually searchable, the quality is not good, and they are not very accessible to students. And there are different technologies that we can use, and always check for the accessibility. The last one is that, okay, the instruction material that we post, always explain to students, is it required or optional? Maybe all of them are required, maybe some of them are optional. It's totally based on the instructor's judgment to see what level are provided. It depends on the level of the course, it depends on the breadth and the depth of the material you want to cover, how deep you want to dive into that topic, and all those considerations. These are usually what we need to consider for evaluating the instruction material. Now, what I do is that I create a PDF like for this question, and of course, honestly, I did it only one time, just to make sure that how I think and how I present, they are aligned. So by answering this question one by one, I would be able to make sure that the way that I'm presenting my instruction material in this course makes sense. And then I can tie it back to the assessment. So if you have like PDF or a word table having all these questions, and then you can provide answer to most of them, then that is a good sign that this standard is met in your course design.